Good evening, I'm your host, Jack Remington of Jack Remington Political Analyst. Say hello to London. Look, up here. Come here. This is my daughter's dog, London. He's going to help me with the video today. He's a good boy. He's a miniature pinscher and terrier mix. He's 8 years old. Today's video is a dedication to the former GOP presidential candidate, Mr. Herman Cain, who passed away this morning at the age of 74. He ran against Mitt Romney for the presidential nomination in 2012, and he came up short. There was a very good article about him in the Western Journal. The author is Joe Setyon. So the well-respected conservative activist and businessman Herman Cain has died. His team announced Thursday he was 74 years old. Mr. Cain had been hospitalized with the coronavirus since July the 1st of this year. Quote, Herman Cain, our boss, our friend, like a follower to so many of us, has passed away, read a post published Thursday on hermancain.com by site editor Dan Calabrese. He is entering the presence of the Savior he served as an associate minister in Antioch Baptist Church in Atlanta for and preparing for his reward, Calabrese wrote in the post titled, quote, we're heartbroken and the world is poor. Herman Cain has gone to be with the Lord. End of quote. There's a screenshot of Mr. Herman Cain from Twitter, Herman Cain at the Herman Cain. Quote, you're never ready for the kind of news we are grappling with this morning, but we have no choice but to seek and find God's strength and comfort to deal. Hashtag Herman Cain. It's 15.1 thousand views and 10,000 people are tweeting about this as we speak. Mr. Cain was a former CEO of Godfather's Pizza from 1986 to 1996, according to the Wall Street Journal, before going on to lead the National Restaurant Association. He also served as chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City from 1995 to 1996. In 2011, Mr. Cain announced he was running for president as a Republican. He garnered widespread support thanks to his 999 or 9-9-9 plan. It's a 9% flat tax on individuals, a 9% national retail sales tax, and 9% flat tax on businesses. And on a personal note, it didn't actually sound all that bad. Mr. Cain eventually suspended his campaign in December of 2011, and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney went on to win the GOP presidential nomination. I want to interject something right here and right now that Mr. Romney was a huge, it's like 7-1 favorite over the entire field in 2012, and Mr. Cain was one of the biggest underdogs, and that was in part because of his race, because he was a black American and they didn't know a lot about the man. But Mr. Cain, in retrospect, was a very sound candidate. Mr. Cain, who was 74, was known as a strong Christian. Romans 2:6-7 says, quote, God will repay each person according to what they have done. To those who, by persistence in doing good, seek glory, honor, and immortality, he will give eternal life, Calabrese wrote. By that measure, we expect the boss in for some kind of a welcome, because all of us who knew him are all well of how much good he did. End of quote. Cain's death came as a surprise to many of his fans, especially considering his team gave an encouraging update regarding the status on Tuesday. Quote, we know it's been a few days since we last gave you an update on the boss, but he is still in the hospital being treated with oxygen for his lungs, Cain's team said earlier this week. In the meantime, the doctors say his other organs and systems are strong. But Cain, a stage 4 colon cancer survivor, was always going to be in for a battle, Calabrese said. Quote, let me deal with some of the particulars of the last few weeks. We knew that when he was first hospitalized with COVID-19 that this was going to be a rough fight. He had trouble breathing and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. We all prayed that the initial meds they gave him would get his breathing back to normal, but it became clear pretty quickly that he was in for a battle, he wrote Thursday. We didn't release detailed updates on his condition to the public or to the media because neither his family nor we thought there was any reason for that. There were hopeful indicators, including a mere 5 days ago when doctors told us they thought that he would eventually recover, although it wouldn't be quick. We were relieved to be told that and passed on the news via Herman's social media. And yet we also felt real concerned about the fact that he never quite seemed to get to the point where the doctors could advance him to the recovery phase. Mr. Herman Cain was 74 years old. Although he was basically pretty healthy in recent years, he was still in a high-risk group because of his history with cancer. We all prayed so hard every day. We knew the time would come when the Lord would call him home, but we really liked having him here with us, and we held out hope that he'd have a full recovery. I am sorry to bring you the bad news this morning, but the good news is that we had a man so good, so solid, so full of love and faith that his death hits us hard. Thank God for a man like that. So I'm going to go to the bottom of this article here, and I'm going to read some of the comments. I'm going to hit show 3 new comments, so this is not on my other feed. Fattest just writes 6 minutes ago, now that is a great loss to America. Herman Cain, rest in peace. Loring74 writes, saddened with the death of Herman Cain. He is a Christian with a good heart, a patriot, and a sensible man in the true sense of the word. May he rest in peace, and may God bless his family. 1 hour ago, Susie Darling 19 writes, I loved Herman Cain. He was so pro-Trump. Great, great guy. So sad he passed away. I loved to hear him when he came on to speak. A real gentleman and just a downright nice guy. Why do we always lose those types and evil men lying ones seem to live forever? 98 thumbs up, no thumbs down. Showing 2 previous replies. 51 minutes ago, Bruce Jenner, answering to Susie Darling 19. Over the last few years, I've noticed that the unwritten decorum, when a political opponent dies, they go right out the window. The celebrations over Justice Scalia's death did it for me. We've now reached a point where a cancer diagnosis, such as that of Rush Limbaugh's, is okay to be celebrated. Rest in peace to Mr. Herman Cain, but I already know what the other side's reaction will be if or when President Trump passes away too. I'll reserve the same smug cheers when there's St. Ginsburg or Obama croaks. 13 thumbs up, no thumbs down. Susie Darling 19 replies to this Bruce Jenner 39 minutes ago. I hear you, Bruce. I feel exactly the same way. Not one Democrat attended the Trump inauguration in 2016 except Obama, who had to be there. Alan Morgan writes 43 minutes ago in response to Susie Darling 19. My family and I were blessed to meet and speak at length with Mr. Cain more than several times over the years. One meeting was enough to feel his warmth and experience his kindness and compassion, as well as hear his wisdom. His character and great talent brought him success at numerous careers, but he enjoyed spending time with his grandchildren. Our prayers are with his family, friends, and all those who love him as we did. Heaven rejoiced to receive him, but we who have lost him have lost a great godly man. Reading Junkie writes 30 minutes ago, we lost 2 giants in the conservative community this month. Mike Adams, professor of criminology at UNC, was either murdered or driven to suicide by left-wing crazies who hated him for his politics and outspoken belief in God and good. 16 thumbs up, no thumbs down. And that's a possible video. This is news to me about Mr. Mike Adams, so I'm going to look into that. Juggler writes 23 minutes ago, let's not forget Charlie Daniels as another great conservative loss prior to helping this push to Election Day. Tim Storr writes 1 hour ago, so what underlying conditions did he have? How can you believe that COVID-19 killed him and not some other issue that he had? That is the problem with this. You get into a motorcycle accident and test positive for COVID, and guess what? You died of COVID. That was from a news article, so I'm not making this up. So I want to say right here and now that what I think Mr. Tim Storr is trying to say, that there has been reports, and I got on my other videos, that these coroners and medical doctors are putting the cause of death by COVID-19, when a lot of them are not true. So they're going to have to walk back a lot of these COVID-19 causes of death because they're padding the numbers. And I had a video that still worked, that we're still editing on, that the military, there was 6,000 people that said they had the COVID-19, and well, it wasn't the case. Because of this, I had to put the video up sooner, so I keep my credibility. The poster, Tim Storr, is on the right track, but it needs to be more expanded. You can't just you can't get on the news, you can't get on YouTube or anywhere and say these things without having your facts and your sources backed up. Survivor of WF. I am in shock and saddened to hear this horrible news. I greatly respected this wonderful conservative and an inspiration for what black men can become in the USA. A success story. A very sad day, but now he is in the arms of Jesus. God bless Herman Cain, we miss you. Bruce Jenner writes an hour ago, I'm reading leftists celebrating people dying. What else is new? After the celebrations of Scalia's death 4 years ago, I have long decided to break out the champagne when their St. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes out. I have already celebrated the news of that vile toad John Lewis dying. Time to respond fire with fire. Elwin writes to Bruce Jenner 1 hour ago, as much as I don't celebrate anyone dying, I have said for a long time, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is, quote, shovel ready, end quote. May God forgive me. Jungle Cogs writes 56 minutes ago, one of the finest guys I had the honor of knowing, perhaps one of the greatest public speakers of our time, maybe the best. If anyone has ever heard a Herman Cain speech, many of his finest may be found on YouTube and are well worth a listen. And I'm going to do just that. I'm going to start watching some of those videos. Gattuso writes 25 minutes ago, I wonder if Mr. Cain will receive anywhere near the acclaim that Representative John Lewis has received. Oh, silly me. Of course not. Mr. Cain was a successful black businessman and a political commentator who happened to be a conservative. He was, of course, an Uncle Tom. That's pretty much close to the mark, isn't it? Mr. Herman Cain would not approve of people celebrating anyone's death for any reason. Death is a part of life, and life goes on. The new brings in from the old, and the old has to give in to the new. And that's the process of our life. That's a process of living in this universe. But Mr. Herman Cain will not approve of that. He would say something to the effect of, yes, they mistreated us, but we must forgive them, and we must hold ourselves to a higher standard. And stay tuned for the next video. It's always a great day to be an American, and hopefully Donald Trump will fly the White House flag at half-mast today or tomorrow, whatever the service might be. So thank you. Have a good day. Always a great day to be an American, and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.